everyone, in this video you can watch my second test with the flower technique. This time I'm using a high viscosity resin. I'm going to use different colors but the same process than in my previous video with a medium viscosity resin. So I hope you will enjoy watching my video and hopefully you will give me a thumbs up for it. So what I mentioned, I'm using a high viscosity resin, and that means that the resin is really thick, and I'm using the Art Pro DeLuxe resin from Resin Pro. And what I also mentioned in my previous video, that I have a risk of air bubbles, and so you can see I have a lot of air bubbles. And that's because the resin is thicker. If you have a thinner resin, then there is a much better air release than in a thicker resin. So that's why I'm using my embossing tool to hopefully remove all the air bubbles, because it's not nice to have air bubbles in your resin. But yeah, I want to show you the difference between all different kind of resins, the medium viscosity, high viscosity, and my next test will be with a low viscosity, so thin resin. But I'm using the same process and the same colorants such as alcohol ink and paste, just as in my previous video. For the people that didn't watch that video, I will include a link in the right corner so you can watch it. But first I'm filling the coasters with clear resin, and I'm using the silicone mold again from Molds and Shapes, and they have such great quality silicone molds. And if you're interested in their molds, the link to their website is in the description box below this video. I also have a promo code. If you use my code JUSTPAINT5, then you will get 5% discount on your order. So that's great. So I'm using my heat gun because I have a lot of air bubbles and I want to remove them. I never use a torch. And I always mention it in my videos. If you use a torch, then you have a risk that your resin will stick to the silicone because the flame of the torch is very hot. So I never use a torch. So in the middle, some silver glass pieces. And I'm very pleased with these glass pieces. So I think I'm going to add them to my Etsy shop. For now I have two colors. A silver color and a gold, and I like these very much. They are very shiny and small pieces. They are about 1 to 3 millimeters, so perfect for the center of a coaster. So I'm starting with the first color. This is the Ranger alcohol ink in the color Rust. Very nice color, only one drop. There you can see it spread. And now I'm going to use the aquamarine again, that I also used in my previous video. And next to it another color, a darker shade of blue, and this is the color Indigo. So hopefully I can create some nice effects. And that I don't have any air bubbles, but I think, yeah, there's a high risk that I have air bubbles because the resin is really thick. Again, the aquamarine. And if you're interested in the supplies of Resin Pro, I have a promo code of their website. My promo code is Petra. If you use it, then you will get 10% discount. The link to their website is in the description below this video. And unfortunately, they don't ship outside of Europe. So I'm so sorry for all the people that live outside of Europe, because they have amazing supplies. Again, the aquamarine, very nice blue color. And what I also can see already is that the drops don't spread that much because the resin is much thicker. And what I see is that I still have some air bubbles. I hope you don't hear my French bulldog. I almost say it in every video, but he makes a lot of noise. So in the center, I'm using casting craft white. Only a few drops and a little bit of resin, so not too much white, because white is a very heavy color, and otherwise it will sink straight away to the bottom, and I don't like that. And then I'm going to try to make some petals. There you can see it. And what I can see is that it doesn't sink. So that's good. And that's because of the resin is thicker, but also I didn't mix that much white into it. Now a different color. This is also the casting craft white, but now I added a little bit of mica pigment. The Midnight Sky, very dark blue color, and it's one of my own mica pigments. If you're interested in my mica pigments, the link to my Etsy shop is in the description box. And they are also available in the USA and Canada by my associate Evelyn Schaefer. The link to her Etsy shop is also in the description below this video. I thought it would look nice if I used another color, but the process is the same. On top of the alcohol ink, I'm adding these lines. And also this color doesn't sink to the bottom, so that's also good. But I still see air bubbles. You don't see it that well, but at the end of the video I'll show you all a close-up, then you can see it much better. Yeah, there I have a large drop of blue in the top left coaster. Doesn't look nice, but yeah, it's a test to see what effects I can create with a thicker resin, and to show you all the differences. Now I'm going to make some lines, and I'm using a dotting tool for this because a dotting tool doesn't have a sharp tip, So from the outside to the inside. And now when I have done all 3 tests with the 3 different resins, then I will show you all the coated side by side so you can see the differences much better. And then we can see what the results are. And yeah, it's different for everyone, but what the best resin is for this technique. So far they look okay, but I can still see air bubbles, so that's not a good sign. Now I'm going to add some heat with my embossing tool. Also to create some effects, but also to remove air bubbles. But the difference is with my previous video, the coasters in my previous video, that the resin doesn't move that well because of the thickness. But the colors are nice. That's not a problem. And also the resin, I can pour up to 1 centimeter with the resin, so that's also not a problem. But I think I will have a lot of air bubbles. But we will wait and see. I will let them dry and then I will take them out of the mold. So this is 1 hour later and I'm going to show you how they look. They look nice. Colors are great. But there are still a lot of air bubbles, but no problem. This is also to experiment and to show it to you all. I love to experiment with different technique, different supplies. So a little bit closer, then you can see it much better. Nice effects. So I'm very curious, but I will let these dry and then I can take them out of the mold and we can take a closer look. So we are 24 hours later and now I can take them out of the mold because the resin is dry. And then we can take a closer look. But the colors are very nice. Second one, I have no problem with taking the coasters out of the mold. And the third one. So now we're going to take a closer look. Yeah, some nice effects, but what I already thought, I have a lot of air bubbles. This is the other side. It's very pretty, but with those air bubbles, yeah, I don't think it looks nice, but that's my opinion. And there is a lot of depth, but you can't see it that well because of those air bubbles. So my opinion is that a very thick resin is not that suitable for this technique, because yeah, those air bubbles, tiny air bubbles, don't look that nice. A little bit closer, then you can see it much better. But the effects are nice. And I don't have any blobs, just as with my first coasters I did have blobs. They look nice. But now I have a lot of air bubbles. But no problem, it's an experiment. And I love to experiment. So this is how they look outside in the daylight, and you can see the air bubbles much better. And this is the side how I poured it. So the colors are great, but there you can see the very small air bubbles. I don't like them. But yeah, now we all know. And yeah, you can prevent it a little bit by putting your resin bottles in a warm, hot water. Then it will make the resin a little bit thinner, but then I think you can use a medium viscosity resin instead of this thick resin. But the effects are great. So that's good. So this is the other side with the silver glass pieces and the nice center. Also there you can see the air bubbles. So my next test will be with a low viscosity resin. So that means a very thin resin. And normally there is a much better air release in a thin resin. But yeah, it also moves a lot. So hopefully I can create some nice coasters with that resin. So if you like what I'm doing, consider to subscribe. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up for this video if you liked it. All the links to the supplies I've used you can find below this video in the description. And the link to my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for watching everyone, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye!